Hey everybody, it's Actual Dragon Tears here. So, Call of Duty World War II is it's actually happening, and I'm actually really excited for it. Oh, you have no idea. And this is the first time I've actually been excited for a Call of Duty in a very long time. So, World War II. It had a variety of different weapons. A lot more than you might think, actually. There was a lot of experimental weapons and just guns that were overall used in limited quantities, but still used nonetheless. Now, I'm going to be focusing on the weapons that I feel will be in the multiplayer for the game. And I mean, I'm going to go into factions that may not even be in the single player, namely Russian and Japanese weapons. I know those two are, especially Japanese. I'm pretty sure the campaign is definitely not going to see any of the Pacific theater. We got all that at World at War, and I think this is trying to concentrate on the Western Front and just concentrate on the taking over of Europe, as we saw from the trailer with Normandy. So I am going to say Japanese and Russian weapons for the multiplayer, and I actually thought maybe instead of seeing Japanese weapons, we could see the English weapons. We haven't really seen any English weapons in World at War, and I'm not sure. I didn't play COD 3 or COD 2, so I'm not sure those had any. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So starting off with the pistols, I believe we will have, of course, the Luger, and maybe the P38, which was another German-used pistol. Nambu, like I said, Japanese. The Tokarev TT-33, or the Nagant revolver for the Russians. Those two, it gives a revolver, and it gives I think the standard issue pistol as well. For the English, we can have the Webley revolver, which I think is the only English special handgun. Of course, the 1911, obviously, and actually the M1917 revolver. So we get a good variety there. We have 3 revolvers and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single stack pistols. So I'm not sure. Are they all single stack? I think they are all single stack. Anyway, moving on to the SMGs, we have the MP40, of course. Now this one I said it could be either or. We have the Type 100 or Sten. They are very similar in appearance, and just overall I feel like they could be interchanged. We have the PPSH 41 for the Russians, and the Thompson or M3A1 grease gun. Those are 2 very iconic American SMGs, and I think we even saw them in the trailer, so I mean, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get them. Now, LMGs, we have the MG 39 or 42. The MG42 is definitely more iconic, but the MG39 was used in large quantities earlier in the war. It had a lot of problems with malfunction. It actually fired faster than the 42, and that was one of the problems. It tended to jam and lock up a lot. We have the FG42, which is a lesser-known side-loading Luftwaffe battle rifle. I'm going to combine LMGs and battle rifles. So the FG42, it's a side-loading Luftwaffe battle rifle that was dropped with them. We have the Type 99/Bren. Once again, switching out the English and Japanese. They are, again, very similar in appearance and probably can be switched out very easily. Then we have the DP28. If you play Siege, which I'm pretty sure all of us do. I am a Siege YouTuber. It's Tachanka's turret. So I do believe that we could probably maybe see this in Call of Duty World War II. And then, of course, for the Americans, we need the Browning 30 cal and the BAR. If you haven't noticed a pattern, the Americans and Germans are kind of competing in a lot of stuff. We have very similar weapons. We see it in the pistol, of course, the Luger in the 1911. We see it in the SMGs with the MP40 and the grease gun. We see it in the LMGs with the MG42 and FG42 and the Browning 30 cal and the BAR. Battle rifle, LMG, belt fed, magazine. You get the gist. Now we're moving on to rifles, and for the rifles we have the Gewehr 43, and we all know the Gewehr 43. It is the semi-auto rifle that was issued to German soldiers. And then we have the STG 44. Now, I did not know where to put this thing. Should I put it in the SMGs? Should I put it in the LMGs? It's a rifle, but at the same time, it's a intermediate cartridge between pistol caliber and rifle caliber. So I just stuck it with the rifles. Then for the Russians, we have the SVT-40. And for the Americans, we have the Garand and the M1 carbine. No European, or no English and Japanese, because I don't believe they had any semi-auto guns that were special to them, I should say. They did use them, but they were already listed. Now we have the fun guns, the bolt actions, the ones that everyone's going to be loving, because everyone loves bolt actions. And for the bolt actions, we're going to have the Karabiner 98s for the Germans. And once again, switching out, we can have the Arasaka for the Japanese, or the Lee Enfield for the English. And I really want to see the Lee Enfield, actually. You barely ever see the Lee Enfield, except for Battlefield 1. It got a lot of attention in that game. But other than that, the Enfield is really kind of just not paid attention very much. And then we have the Mosin Nagant for the Russians, obviously, and the Springfield for the Americans, the good old Springfield. Now, we move on to the shotguns. Now, the shotguns were kind of an interesting category because, for the most part, it seemed like the Americans were really the only ones who actively used shotguns. Germans, of course, had a survival double barrel that was issued to Luftwaffe pilots, which is very beautifully made, may I add, but I don't believe that we are going to get that because it does have this kind of it's a double barrel rifle, tri-barrel system. I feel like they're not going to do that. But the ones that I did choose were the coach gun, or double barrel. We saw this in World at War, so I believe we are going to see it again. We have the 1897 trench gun, obviously. That's one of the more iconic shotguns used in World War II. And then we have the Model 12. This is more of a modern-er looking shotgun. It looks like the ones we have nowadays. So I feel like that would be an interesting thing to see. Now, I call this the specialty category because I'm not sure where to put them. And they're kind of, specialty weapons. Starting out, we have the Panzerfaust and the Panzerschreck. They can be their own separate things, but they're either going to choose either or. Let's be honest, it's probably going to be the Panzerschreck. And then we have the bazooka for the United States. Classic bazooka. And that's really all we had for the rocket launchers, and so I moved on to anti-tank rifles. Of course, the PTRD-41 you probably know of if you played World at War. It was the only anti-tank rifle in that game, but I feel like they're gonna do the Boys anti-tank rifle, which was used by the British and I believe the Americans as well. And then for the Germans, we can have the Panzerbusch 39 or the PZB 39. Once again, another anti-tank rifle that was used by them. Now, the reason why I'm going into all these anti-tank weapons, rockets, rifles, yada yada, I feel they are going to add tanks. I really do. They have said that they are going back to their roots. And if you go to the earlier games in Call of Duty, they had tanks. Especially, I think Call of Duty 3 had tanks, jeeps, and all this stuff in it. I feel like they're going to make a return in this game, which I'm kind of excited for. I want to see tanks. So that's why I'm saying giving us these specialty weapons to deal with the tanks. And of course, the flamethrower. I don't know where to put this thing. It's going to be in the game, most likely. It's probably going to suck. I know you guys are going to hate me for that, but it probably is. But we're still going to use it and have fun with it because it's a flamethrower, and we do not see the flamethrower that often. And now for grenades, I actually did do a grenade section. I feel like there is actually a wide variety of grenades that was used in World War II. So, of course, the standard frag grenade that, with many different shapes and looks to it, was the common for American, English, Russian, Japanese. They all looked kind of the same, but they all were different in a way. But you get the gist. The only one that I had that was different was the Stahlhandgranate. Of course, the stick grenades the Germans used. I'm wondering if maybe there could be a way that they can make it its own separate grenade type and have it maybe thrown further but have a smaller blast or less damage. I don't know, because they are thrown two different ways. It's the equivalent of throwing taking let's say a tomahawk. I know that's been in the games before. It's like throwing a tomahawk and throwing a baseball. They're two different things, and for the most part, most people can throw the Stahlgranate or Stahlhandgranate a lot farther. Then we have the Molotovs. These were mainly used by the Russians, thus the name Molotov. But if we don't want to do Molotovs, we can always do the number 76 special incendiary grenades. These were used by the British, I believe. And they were a white phosphorus grenade. And if you don't know white phosphorus, that stuff is nasty. Just absolutely nasty. It's very, very dangerous. And it's not pleasant stuff. So we could switch off from Molotov or these. And then we have sticky bombs. These were actually, again, used by the British. I think that can take place of the Semtex we see in every other Call of Duty. And the last being smoke. I feel like, of course, there's going to be a smoke grenade for some of these, especially some of these maybe objective-based game modes, especially the new war mode, which I'm kind of interested to see how I hear it's going to be 48 players, which 24v24, that's going to be kind of crazy for Call of Duty. So yeah, these were all the weapons that I feel will be filling the weapon roster for Call of Duty World War II. How do you feel about these selections? Are you looking forward to it? I know I left out all the experimental weapons I talked about. Do you want to see me talk about these experimental weapons? Trust me, I would love to. I've been studying all this for like 6 years. It fascinates me. So I will gladly do that. In fact, I might do it anyway. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to leave a rating and also a comment down below. Are you looking forward to the game? Are you looking forward to using some of these weapons, which are almost guaranteed to be in the game? Leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.